Rachel Zegler's whirlwind year just took another gut-punch turn. Insiders say the actress broke down in tears after learning that Marc Webb, the director who once publicly championed her casting, has quietly retracted the glowing praise he showered on her at the start of Disney's live-action Snow White.
I remember in our chemistry read thinking he had brought such a lovable cynicism to this character that not a lot of people, I think, thought to bring.
Webb's early endorsement was supposed to be the stamp that silenced doubters. He called Zegler a generational talent and insisted no one else could capture the princess's heart with such authenticity. That quote circulated in press kits, magazine profiles, and fan forums for months. But after the film's catastrophic box office collapse and the avalanche of backlash that followed, Webb has reportedly told studio confidants he regrets speaking so definitively and wishes he'd let the performance speak for itself.
If you sing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" I will start to cry, so let's move on.
So does my dad.
Yeah.
So does my dad.
The shift hit Zegler hard. She'd already been reeling from negative headlines, and hearing that the filmmaker who discovered her had now distanced himself was, in her words to one friend, the final knife. People close to the production say the timing couldn't have been worse. Zegler was still processing a brutal emergency sit-down with Disney's legal team, where she faced accusations of violating promotional guidelines and tarnishing the company's most hallowed IP, when word of Webb's about-face reached her phone. One witness claims she read the message, stared at the wall for a full minute, then left the room visibly shaken.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
For a performer who rose from YouTube covers to Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, that endorsement from a major studio director felt like proof she'd earned her spot in Hollywood's top tier. Having it effectively erased now underscores just how completely the narrative around Snow White has flipped. It's no longer merely a box office disappointment. It's become an industry cautionary tale, and Zegler is discovering how quickly allies evaporate when a film transforms from most anticipated to biggest bomb.
Welcome, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Marc Webb's reversal didn't happen in a vacuum. The movie's second week, theatrical plunge, an eye-watering 66% drop, spooked executives and rattled everyone with their name in the credits. Internally, Disney analysts warned the film could end as one of the studio's worst live-action performers of all time. That financial freefall intensified the finger-pointing. Crew members whispered that Webb himself had been frustrated during late reshoots, especially after the script veered away from a classical romance and toward what some called a lecture in modern values. At first, Webb stood by his star, defending her media comments about stalker princes and outdated tropes as evidence of her intelligence. But once audiences deserted the film in droves, leaving theaters so empty that viral videos showed entire rows vacant, he reportedly decided the safest path was silence.
Who's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one.
Okay, but why? Why? This is the part I really liked about the Barbie movie when they said, why can't there just be an ordinary Barbie? I loved that. Because the point of Snow White's fairy tale, isn't that she's gonna try and become a leader. That was never in the original fairy tale, that's not part of Snow White's story. She's not supposed to be this girl boss, leader, queen, feminist icon. And I don't know why every reimagining, it has to be that the woman is in a position of power.
Because we are in a matriarchy, sir, that's why.
Snow White in the original fairy tale survived 3 different assassination attempts. She lives for free in the dwarf's house and just bakes whatever she wants. She makes her own food. She's pretty much free to do whatever she wants. And Snow White was manipulated into taking a bite of that apple. It wasn't because she wasn't proactive enough or because she wasn't, this feminist, go-getting leader woman. She took a bite of that apple because she was manipulated to. There was a really powerful older woman who was manipulating her the whole time.
Only silence didn't hold. Word leaked that he now tells colleagues he spoke too soon and too strongly in those early interviews, an unmistakable walkback that stings like a public rebuke. Zegler's emotional spiral over Webb's retreat is compounded by the relentless commentary from within the Snow White family. Jonah Platt, son of powerhouse producer Marc Platt, blasted her online for mixing political advocacy with movie promotion and claimed she single-handedly alienated huge swaths of the audience.
The son of Disney producer Marc Platt, a guy named Jonah Platt, someone commented on his page, "Hey, your dad, what kind of jerk is he to fly to New York and censor a 20-year-old girl?" He just fired back. This is like 30 minutes ago. "You really want to do this? My dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand a 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. And her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on the film. She hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie and its success. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged."
Other collaborators began to distance themselves as well. Co-star Andrew Burnap, once convinced Snow White would catapult him to mainstream fame, privately lamented that all his scenes could end up on the cutting room floor if Disney ever re-edits the movie for streaming. Even Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, has kept an icy distance since threats forced Disney to pay for extra security after Zegler's pro-Palestine tweet collided with Gadot's public support for Israel.
I don't know why in order to make a film more progressive, the woman can't have a focus on love or finding true love. They almost act like it's something to make fun of. When even in the original cartoon, she sings one song about finding her true love, the prince is in the movie for like a minute. Snow White wanted to find true love. That's fine, most of us do. She didn't really set out to be a leader. Not all of us do. Sometimes you just want to be in the middle of a forest baking pies. And some of us want to be saved by a prince. I know I do.
Even he gets it. We just want to be out in the forest baking pies. We want to watch a movie sometimes that shows a nice, happy ending, and it's okay.
Every headline, every viral clip seemed to blame Zegler's interviews for deepening the rift between the film and its intended family audience. That narrative is why Disney lawyers summoned her in the first place. During the tense meeting, Zegler arrived flanked by her own legal team, prepared to argue that the studio had pushed her to lean into progressive talking points about empowerment and independence. She contended she merely amplified the campaign they designed. The studio countered that no one authorized comments calling the prince a creepy stalker.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Or labeling the original film weird.
Yeah. Weird.
The discussion reportedly turned to contractual clauses requiring cast members to protect Disney's legacy and refrain from disparaging iconic characters. Zegler insisted she never intended disrespect, pointing to internal memos that praised her candor as fresh and news cycle driving. Yet executives, desperate to staunch financial losses, suggested her statements contributed directly to the worst second-week drop any Disney remake has ever seen. The standoff left both sides contemplating litigation or a costly settlement.
Everyone's talking about this video, but you know what pisses me off about it? Like, obviously it's annoying that they're changing the whole story. They didn't cast any dwarf. What makes me so annoyed is how smug they are about it. Like, I'm just so sick of celebrities and people with fame and money and power. Like, they're just in a constant circle jerk with each other all the time. And we're just like forced to participate in it. I want fantasy. I don't want more, you need to work and you need to be a leader. And like, I don't want to do any of those things. I want my Prince Charming. I want him to kiss me on the lips and I want him to think I'm the most beautiful girl in the world.
And sources say Zegler floated a staggering damages figure to compensate for what she calls career-crippling scapegoating. While the legal skirmish brews, social media has turned her every public move into fodder. Clips of her giddy yet awkward attempt to boost attendance, visiting an almost empty screening with friends, sparked a trend of TikTok users filming their own deserted theaters.
What can be said about this level of narcissism? Here, please, enjoy.
Photos of pristine rows and lonely concession stands became memes. Captioned, "Waiting for the crowd, Rachel promised." Critics compared her to actors who once spoke reverently about portraying Disney princesses, noting how jarring her snark felt next to the legacy she was entrusted to honor. Evie magazine tallied quotes from Lily James, Emma Watson, and Halle Bailey praising their animated predecessors.
If I say it's like too much to really even believe, even though we're halfway through filming and it's all happening. But so yeah, obviously that kind of idea of being a princess is just magical.
Oh my God, if you had told me when I was 5, which is probably around the age that I was watching it on repeat, that I would one day get to be Belle, or I get to play Belle from Beauty and the Beast, I don't know what I would have done. A, I wouldn't have believed you, and B, I would have freaked out.
Oh my gosh, it was a dream to meet Jodie Benson because honestly, she has been the soundtrack of a lot of our childhoods and our lives, and the work that she did as the original Ariel was just so special. So to have her blessing and her stamp of approval was so beautiful and validating, and I'm just honored to meet her because she's a legend.
Then contrasted them with Zegler's dismissive remarks.
So we didn't do that this time.
The piece went viral, reinforcing the perception that she mishandled the delicate balance between modern updates and timeless reverence. Behind the scenes, Disney's consumer products division faces a warehouse full of unsold dolls, costumes, and tie-in merchandise. Retail partners slashed prices within weeks, signaling they'd rather clear inventory than gamble on a late surge that's clearly not coming. Executives worry that Snow White's failure will chill enthusiasm for future live-action projects. Already there are murmurs that the studio plans to reboot the property in a few years, quietly shelving Zegler's version and starting from scratch with a safer, nostalgia-heavy approach.
Let's say that you were in a Hollywood movie, and the trailer for that movie dropped on YouTube, and it instantly became the #1 most downvoted trailer in the history of the platform. That might be a humbling experience.
That possibility leaves cast and crew furious. Months of work and hundreds of millions spent, all to be treated as an embarrassing footnote. Zegler's defenders argue she's being punished for the same outspokenness that initially made her a studio darling. They note that early marketing materials leaned heavily on her feminist talking points, suggesting Disney hoped controversy would equal buzz. They point out leaked emails where marketing staff cheered each viral soundbite as free press, but once the tide turned, the studio repositioned, implying she'd gone rogue.
What is this process now where it's like in order to be inclusive, you have to completely destroy storylines, completely destroy franchises? I don't believe in that. I don't think that consumers believe in that either.
Those defenders also highlight that Gal Gadot voiced her own political stance, yet hasn't faced the same level of corporate pushback. They say the disparity exposes a deeper problem. Studios champion activism until it threatens profits, then scapegoat the most visible face. Whatever the fairness of those arguments, the fact remains that Zegler's public image is in free fall. IMDb ratings tanked so hard, Snow White now hovers near the bottom of Disney's Remake roster. Review aggregators show a gulf between critics who politely call the film misguided and audiences who label it a betrayal.
According to reports, Gal and Rachel got along during filming. It's afterwards that things took a turn.
The film's digital footprint has become a litany of negative hashtags and endless reaction videos dissecting every perceived misstep. Even die-hard Disney bloggers, once eager to defend any brand extension, have started posting think pieces titled, "Where did the magic go?" Zegler reads it all, according to friends, and each new critique compounds her feeling that the industry has turned its back. Marc Webb's retraction, though, cuts deepest. She credits him with convincing Disney executives she was the perfect Snow White after her viral audition tape. He once praised her voice like starlight and her instinctive sense of wonder. To hear he regrets those words, because the movie he delivered couldn't overcome the backlash, feels like betrayal.
It's bigger than I could have imagined. I'm just super delighted and to celebrate with my lovely cast and crew.
Insiders say Webb worries his earlier praise might be used as evidence he approved the final tone that fans rejected. He has a long career to protect and can't afford being forever linked to Disney's biggest stumble of the decade. His quiet distancing is classic Hollywood self-preservation, but to Zegler, it feels like abandonment at her lowest moment. As the drama escalates, industry veterans warn that lawsuits could drag for years, draining resources and further tarnishing the Snow White name. Disney's priority is to stop the bleeding. Zegler's priority is to salvage her career and rewrite the narrative. Some speculate the studio might offer her a hush-money settlement, contingent on a public statement that she stands behind the film and regrets any offense. But after Webb's reversal, Zegler may refuse to play along. She might instead pursue the $200 million figure rumored during the emergency meeting, betting that Disney can't risk discovery of internal communications that show the extent to which executives courted controversy.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Iger, Rachel Zegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer to be saying, if I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're gonna bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
Meanwhile, Andrew Burnap's disappointment is palpable. He once told friends he believed the movie would transform him from Broadway talent to household name. Instead, he fears he'll be remembered only as the actor whose scenes maybe all got cut, a casualty of a film that couldn't decide whether it even wanted a prince.
No, Prince or a different kind of Prince?
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yep. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you? Oh my God. Are you Disney?
He hasn't publicly criticized Zegler, but those close to him say he's frustrated she spoke so cavalierly about his role. Casting directors who once buzzed about his chemistry read with her have gone quiet, waiting to see whether the Disney debacle will taint him by association. Gal Gadot, though not immune to criticism, seems determined to keep her distance from the war. She fulfills contractual press appearances, sidesteps direct questions about politics, and highlights the crew's artistry. Disney's extra security remains in place, a reminder that Zegler's activism had real-world consequences beyond ticket sales. Insiders say Gadot privately wishes the studio had clarified early on how far each cast member could go with personal messaging, rather than letting public statements snowball. While all this swirls, fans keep circulating that clip of Zegler strolling into a near-empty theater, bouquet in hand, her friends cheering at a lonely screen.
Theaters are, of course, entirely empty. Do understand that having people buy tickets is an important part of success in your industry. Rachel Zegler, I guess, didn't get the memo.
It's become the defining image of the entire saga, an actress trying to show confidence, only to have the emptiness underscore just how far the hype has fallen. For Disney, it's a marketing nightmare. For Zegler, it's a personal humiliation she can't escape. She's still under contract for future promotional beats, but sources claim the studio may quietly drop some planned appearances, fearing additional viral misfires. So where does this leave the once bright star and the studio that placed a 9-figure bet on her? If Marc Webb's retreat signals the industry mood, Zegler may find future blockbuster doors harder to open. Studios love buzz, but they fear unpredictable headlines that alienate core audiences, unless she lands a role that reminds viewers of her undeniable talent. Something intimate, stripped of franchise baggage, she could face a long climb back to mainstream favor. Disney, on the other hand, will likely pivot to a nostalgia-heavy slate, courting families with safe bets and strictly managed press tours. Whether Zegler's rumored $200 million claim succeeds or fizzles, the showdown illustrates how quickly alliances fracture when a brand's crown jewel cracks. Webb's change of heart shows that in Hollywood, praise lasts only as long as profits flow. One season's generational talent can become next season's cautionary tale. And for a studio that built its empire on fairy tale happily ever afters, the Snow White saga proves even Disney can wander deep into the dark forest. And sometimes, no prince, no director's endorsement, and no amount of pixie dust can guide the way out. What do you think? Can Rachel Zegler bounce back after Marc Webb's reversal, or is the damage too deep? Was Disney right to pivot away from her public comments, or did the studio set her up by encouraging controversy, then blaming her for the backlash? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you found this deep dive eye-opening, and don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes Hollywood drama. And if you want to see how another blockbuster stumbled under the weight of its own hype, click the next video on your screen. I'll see you there.